so the idea that, you're shaking your head, no, but that's true. The fact of the matter is that where are we?
How, for you and your thinking.
Hello everyone, welcome to NeoUnrealist. I mean, what the hell was going on with Joe Biden's eye at the CNN climate town hall last night? I mean, things were getting pretty intense for poor old creepy Joe until he was getting pressed from all sides on his vague, incoherent answers, and his segment of the town hall was just Joe just dancing. I mean, the audience was after him, Anderson Cooper was after him, he was ducking, dodging, bobbing, and weaving like a boxer in a prize fight. I mean, apparently the verbal sparring must have affected him like a real sparring match. Because right there on national TV, his left eye started to fill up with blood, like somebody connected with a right hook. I mean, remember that, over the years, Biden's had a few health issues, including an aneurysm that burst on him. He had to get surgery. And a few months after that, Biden had a second aneurysm. He had to get that clipped before it burst as well. I mean, according to the Washington Examiner, Joe Biden, he hasn't publicly disclosed a medical report on his health since 2008. I mean, to be fair, there are less alarming reasons why someone's eye may suddenly go red. I mean, it's not unheard of for a vessel to rupture and make a bit of a mess there. But, that's often associated with people that have high blood pressure or, under a tremendous amount of stress. But even those less alarming explanations, less alarming than an aneurysm, I mean, those wouldn't bode well for Biden, making a case for people to take a flyer on a 76-year-old man, for one of the most stressful jobs in the world, who either has hypertension so bad that his eyes are red just from talking to Anderson Cooper. I mean, then again, maybe he just kept looking over at Anderson Cooper, out of his peripheral vision to his left, and he couldn't get this incident out of his head. So yeah, if that's what poor Joe had in mind, the stress of him trying not to burst out laughing right there on stage with the giggler Anderson Cooper, maybe that caused him to pop a vessel in his eye. I guess that could be forgiven, but in all seriousness, this morning Joe Biden wishes that his bad case of red eye was the only problem that came out of the CNN town hall event. I mean, 7 hours. Can you imagine watching 7 hours of Democrats whining about climate change? I think I'd pop a vein doing that. But, yeah, so this one guy, the last questioner that Joe Biden faced, some dude named Isaac Larkin, he's a doctoral candidate at Northwestern University. The guy scored a knockdown on Biden by pointing out that, Biden signed a no fossil fuel money pledge and that he was attending a fundraiser the next day, today, in fact, with a fossil fuel executive of a natural gas company.
It has brought us to a crisis that threatens the entire human race. Now, I know that you signed the no fossil fuel money pledge, but I have to ask, how can we trust you to hold these corporations and executives accountable for their crimes against humanity when we know that tomorrow you are holding a high-dollar fundraiser hosted by Andrew Goldman, a fossil fuel executive?
He's not a fossil fuel executive, I'm told. He is not a fossil fuel executive.
So you saw Joe Biden there insisting that, no, Andrew Goldman, he's not a fossil fuel executive. I mean, wow. So one problem with that answer, Andrew Goldman is a fossil fuel executive. I mean, about less than a minute Google search on Andrew Goldman would take you to the About page of Western LNG. LNG short for Western Liquefied Natural Gas. I mean, you scroll down to the bottom of the page, and this is the company's own corporate website, remember? Who's that listed number 2 right there in the leadership section after the founder, president, and CEO of Western LNG, Davis Thames? Why, it's Andrew Goldman. co-founder of Western LNG. So you can imagine Anderson Cooper sitting there. He's probably got his producers screaming into his IFB, handing him that note card saying, "Hey, Coop, we just checked it out real quick. This Andrew Goldman guy, he's co-founder of a fossil fuel company." So even Anderson Cooper of Fake News CNN, he does hear a point of personal privilege. He's a fossil fuel guy.
Question, though, about this fundraiser. There is a fundraiser tomorrow night. It's given by a guy named Andrew Goldman. He does hedge funds and stuff, but he also has a company called Western LNG. And their biggest project, which I think was announced in 2018, is a floating liquefied facility for natural gas. It's off the coast of British Columbia, and it's going to provide Canadian gas to parts of northern Asia. So what Andrew is saying is, if you're going to a fundraiser that's given in part by this guy who has a company that is pulling up natural gas, are you the right guy to go after these?
Well, I didn't realize he does that.
I mean, look at Joe's face when he says he didn't realize that Goldman did that. I'm guessing he's thinking that someone on his campaign staff was about to get their ear chewed off after he got off that stage. I mean, right away, one of Joe Biden's bad senior advisors, Simone Sanders, tried to spin this major blunder, oversight, hypocritical sham, whatever you think it was. She tries to spin it by tweeting the following. What Anderson Cooper just said about VP Biden's fundraiser is factually incorrect. Andrew Goldman isn't a fossil fuel executive. He's not involved in the day-to-day operation. He's not on the board of the company, nor the board of the portfolio company. VP Biden signed a pledge not to take money from fossil fuel executives. He stands by it, and he has not violated it. OMFG, as the kids say. I mean, this dude is not involved in the day-to-day operations. He's not on the board. No, he just started the company and is listed on the company page next to the president and CEO. Sounds legit. Oh, he's not a fossil fuel executive. He's just a hedge fund guy who invests hundreds of millions of dollars into starting fossil fuel companies. I guess by the Biden campaign standard, unless this guy reported to work every day at an offshore rig, on an oil or gas platform, his money is not fossil fuel money. I mean, give me a break. What's next? If you take money from Bill Gates, you're not getting tech industry money because Bill Gates doesn't go to work at Microsoft every morning anymore? I mean, he's just the co-founder of the company. He doesn't run it day to day anymore, right? I mean, hell, for that matter, President Donald Trump, any money that he would give you, it's not big commercial real estate money, right? I mean, because he doesn't run the Trump organization day to day. He's just the founder of the company, right? I mean, they gotta stop. Twitter was not even having it. Look at this lady, Stephanie Keegan. She's a Beto-maniac. She was like, hey, he's just the founder. This leftist poli-sci major, Josh Hinton, he pointed out that, look, Andrew Goldman is the second person listed on the About Us page under leadership for Western LNG. Verified blue checkmark New York Times guy, Kenneth Vogel, he tweeted, Goldman is listed as a co-founder on Western LNG's website. I mean, the bottom line on this, I'm just going to call it like I see it. Joe Biden, he probably has no idea how Andrew Goldman makes his money. He probably knows the extent of his knowledge is that he's a hedge fund guy. So all he probably, in his mind, I'm going to a fundraiser tomorrow with a hedge fund guy. So he assumed his campaign staff would not put him in a position where he's violating the pledge that he signed not to take fossil fuel money. I mean, that's the best case scenario to me. Because option B is Joe did know what this guy was about at one time. Maybe he just forgot. I mean, Joe's memory isn't what it used to be. I mean, if the accuracy of his recently humiliating gaffe of the tale of that time he pinned the medal on a guy who didn't want it story is any indication of where that's at. But if this is the most electable Democrat presidential candidate, I mean, how is he going to make it another year with stuff like this coming out almost on a daily basis? I mean, this one is not so much on him slipping. But this is on his staff slipping on a basic fact. I mean, if you're going to get Mr. Magoo over the finish line in an election, I mean, I guess the theory is if he has a crack campaign staff and they just limit his exposure, they can sort of play hide the ball, run out the clock, and hope anti-Trump sentiment carries the day. But if even his staff is prone to gaffes of this magnitude, how is even that supposed to work? That's all for this New Unrealist. If you want to help the channel, do me a favor, click like for this video and leave a comment below. Mash the subscribe button if you're not already subbed to the channel. Click on the notification bell next to it and put it on the all setting to keep up with newer content. If you want to support the channel more directly by tossing your hard-earned dollars into the tip jar, assuming you weren't totally grossed out by Joe's eye blowing up on your screen, follow the links below to Subscribe Star or PayPal, or if you're watching this on BitChute, you can just click on the green tip pledge button on the video player. But, now that you've sat through the money-grubbing capitalist portion of this video, which means you would have to made it through that long slog about Joe Biden's eye and his failure-prone campaign staff, got to give you some props. I mean, mark off another hash towards your diehard achievement. Thanks for watching.